pitch. Is looped towards shortstop. Petroselli's back. He's got it. The Red Sox win. And he's pandemonium on the field.
Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your hosts, award-winning sports collectibles author Tom Zappola and Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli.
Yeah. Yo, boys, how are you? Rico, you look good. Louis, you look good.
Thank you.
Actually, Rico, you look half good. You don't look that good.
Well, I never look good. I never did. But I'll tell you though, this has been a rough year for the Red Sox. Now they're playing good, so I'm gonna be happy because we may not, this is the first time where they're playing good. They won how many? Five in a row.
No, they've won 9 out of 11.
I'm not saying they're going to get in the playoffs or anything like that. We don't know, but at least real true fans, Lou.
I am. Listen, I have more Red Sox blood in me than you can imagine.
Yeah, sure.
Is it wrong that I've adopted the Dodgers for this year? I'm just going to root for the Dodgers. Just be done with it.
Yeah, you can. Hey, Rick, I got a quick question for you before we introduce our guest, Michael Variale, and then we have a very special guest, Al Crisafulli from Love of the Game Auctions, with a huge announcement. I may even bid on this, but
huge announcement.
Rick, question for you.
Go ahead.
You wrote for the first time that you've written something on Facebook. It was eloquent. It made sense. It was perfect. Do you have it? Do you have a copy of that?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, hold on. The reason I was asking, I meant to call you because today's On Deck with Rico question, ask you your opinion on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I would have to give it. They can read it. But no.
That's great.
Mike, how you doing, Michael?
Michael Variale.
All right.
All right, Michael Variale from Sports Cards The Hobby is with us first. Michael, welcome. You've been on a couple of times, right?
Yes, thank you for having me again. Really
Not
appreciate
a problem.
it.
Michael, first question I have, how's the fishing up there with the fish stripers? Is it good?
I actually haven't gone out. I think I've only been on my boat just a couple of times, and I've been busy, fortunately, with work.
Why? Where are you, Michael?
I'm out on the east end of Long Island.
Oh, all right, excellent. Yeah,
he's in the rich section. Well, Michael, I want to say I did catch a striper. The one striper that I caught had two heads because we're having an issue here in the Merrimack River that we're not going to talk about right now, but. There's some two-headed fish going around. Anyways, let's talk about Sports Cards The Hobby. First question I have, Michael, before we get into some of the items, tell us about the library programs that you offer that you've been involved with.
Oh, the library programs are fantastic. It's called the Ins and Outs of the Hobby. And for the guests who attend, it's catered to their needs. Sometimes they bring in different items. I'll give a whole spiel on education. It's mainly about educating because as a retired school teacher, I want to make sure I'm providing the proper information. Some of the items that have come in that I've got to check out have been really, really awesome items. One item in particularly is this Wayne Gretzky Topps Playing Day Auto. Vincent, who came into the West Hampton Library show, said, I have this item. I handed Wayne the pen back in the early 80s when they were visiting at the Nassau Coliseum. So that's a really cool story. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I wanted to ask you about your Ken Griffey cards.
Yeah, I mean, you had a slew of Ken Griffey cards.
But he gets no respect. That's not true, but you know what I'm saying. You don't hear much of him. I got MLB, and when they have a Seattle game on, he has an ad on. It's mostly in Seattle. He does. You never hear from this kid. This kid was a great player. These are great cards, man.
And by the way, Michael, I'd be remiss in not saying that Michael, Rico and I were very heavily involved for a couple of years with Lucy's Love Bus, and it's up here in the Boston area. It's a children's cancer organization that they provide all kinds of fun stuff for kids that are undergoing treatment. And they had their big butterfly auction a couple of months ago. And Michael was nice enough to donate a Ken Griffey rookie card, PSA 9, that was signed.
Wow.
That was really cool, Michael. And by the way, that was by far the biggest auction item in the auction. So
awesome.
Thank you very much.
Good to raise money. And I saw that card again from with Paul.
Well, you know who bought the Paul Borges? Yeah. Paul Borges bought the card.
He's a great guy, Paul. We had fun.
You know, I told Paul about the auction. He says, I'm going to buy that card. So Paul bought the card. So that was good.
Yeah. Well, Griffey is he's something. He was something.
So what are some of the offerings you have, Mike?
Go. The two Griffey items that I think are hot items. One is the 1987 Bellingham PSA 10 with the 10 auto.
Yeah.
There's only 12 of these that exist.
Ooh.
Another Griffey card that I think is a hot item, whoops, sorry about that, is this 1989 Tiffany Bowman 9.5 Auto 10. Now, why is this significant? Because there are only 2 PSA 10s and only 4 of these in a Bowman 9.5. Print run is only about 6,000. So when you compare that to the modern cards of players who really haven't done anything, I think there's a more of a trajectory of these cards going higher in value.
You were mentioning to me that you've seen a pretty good spike. Some other people have mentioned too in Ricky Henderson cards. Are you seeing that?
I think the big notice is the on-card autos of the players from the 80s and 90s when they didn't sign the cards like they do today. Obviously, like the Gretzky card was a playing day auto, so it may have more value than as opposed to post-playing day. But this Ricky Henderson in particular is super rare. This is a 1980 Ricky Henderson PSA 9 with a 10 auto. It's a pop 45 with only one 10-10. The difference here is this is one of 2 with an extra inscription. It says Hall of Fame 2009.
I love these cards.
Yeah, you know, and we were talking to, I think it was Joe Tomasula last week was telling us that autograph cards are on fire, number one. And number two, as you said, Michael, period autographs are definitely worth more. So 1955 Mickey Mantle card signed in 1955 by Mickey Mantle is worth more than a 1955 Mickey Mantle signed in 1967 in Sharpie by Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Right. Rico, did you sign? Do you remember signing? I mean, I've seen. No, I know there's a lot of Rico Petrocelli cards out there, but most of the cards that you've signed recently in recent years with a Sharpie. My question is, did you sign many cards during your playing days in like 67, 65? Because I know not a lot of players did, but do you remember signing cards?
Yes. You did. Yeah. Okay. Because in those days, the industry wasn't as strong as it is now. And we signed for people. They wanted the autograph and they kept the autograph. They didn't throw it on, some eBay or something like that, but to sell.
I have a Rico Petrocelli signed card that I got before we met, Rico, which is the 1968 Game 6 card where he hit 2 homers. And you signed it, bought it in the shop.
Yeah.
You had that cards in the studio, Lou, if I remember seeing that, right?
No, I don't have it in the studio, but I do have it.
Hey, Michael, I want to just mention one thing because I loved Ken Griffey Jr. I think, my opinion, that he was a better athlete all around, with one exception that he didn't do, than Ohtani. Ohtani obviously pitched.
I love this. I love the look on Lou's face.
Listen, that's my opinion. He is better. Ohtani's a great player. Ken Griffey never got the real because he played in Seattle most of the time. But this kid was a great all-around athlete, great outfielder.
No, he was a great player.
Rico, we did a show at one point you weren't on, I don't believe, where people were putting in like their top 15 all-time players.
Yeah.
And there was nobody after World War II, first of all. But Ken Griffey didn't make any of these lists.
Well, no, I understand.
Actually,
because
that's not
people
true.
don't have him on mind.
I had him like out of my top 15. I think I had him like 14th. I had him.
Yeah, I understand that. People, your tendency to do that because you don't hear much of him. Look at his stats. Of course, Ohtani being a pitcher as well.
No, I understand all
that the whole deal.
50,
but I'm telling you,
come on.
this kid was just great.
All right, let's get back to Michael. Michael, what else do you have?
Well, I know that I'm in a Red Sox Nation studio right here. I'd be remiss not to show you a Roger Clemens Tiffany 910. Now, there are no 1010s for the Roger Clemens. There are only 11 of those cards.
So is that card pre or post Peds?
This would be post.
Let me ask you a question about the signatures, Michael. Would you rather have a career era signature or a Hall of Fame signature like the one you showed us with Ricky Henderson?
I think I like the Gretzky card. I like the playing day auto. Yeah. But the fact is that Ricky Henderson's not signing anymore.
Yeah.
And when these players go on, I think that's when they'll shoot up in value.
Very cool.
So that's
Michael. So how I mean, if people want to buy cards from you, how do they do it? They go onto your website. I know you've started going to shows now, correct?
Yeah, we've been doing. Well, we take the summer off because of my other work. Right. But they could always. People always reaching out to me, given their opinions or want my opinion on something. So they could always reach out to me either the website, Sports Cards the Hobby, or on Instagram or Facebook. They can call or text me, 631-339-0900.
Before we let Michael go, there are DJs and there are DJs, as you guys know. We've all been to weddings with DJs. Michael, I got to say, Michael, I watch your Facebook stuff. Louis, you can appreciate this. And Rico, you are a musician too. So he doesn't Michael's one of these guys, if he's doing a wedding, he's not up there just spinning, records. What he has up there is he'll have a drummer. He'll be doing, the DJing stuff. He'll have a sax player. He'll have a conga player, depending on the situation. You bring musicians in too, right, Michael?
Yeah, and what's nice about that, just a couple of weeks ago, speaking of Gretzky, I'm doing an Ocean of Front event, and who's there? Wayne Gretzky. And
nice.
And everyone's like, "Oh, did you get a photo?" And I always say, private events are private. You respect their privacy.
Absolutely.
But his wife came by, took my card. She was loving the music, so I was like, "That's a plus."
That's great.
All right, Michael. Are we going to see you at the National? Are you not going to be there?
No, I'll be working out here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Great seeing you again, Michael.
Michael Variale from Sports Cards the Hobby. All right, Michael, take care. Bye-bye. All right, Lou, let's bring in, I'm really excited because this is Al, this is, I think, one of your biggest, if not your biggest, yes or no, as far as the news about the upcoming auction. I mean, this.
I thought you would be excited to see me just because I'm a nice guy.
You know something. We see you. I know what you look like.
It's been a while. I haven't been on the program.
I know. You really haven't. You haven't.
Like you're boycotting me or something.
No, man. I'll tell you what. It's like, honest to God, it's like I get calls every week because this is the hot time of the season, and we're trying to get people placed. Like realistically, we had Al scheduled for next week, right? Yeah. But what happened was, obviously the National, they're our biggest sponsor, and Joe Drellick says, "Tom, we can't. The 8th is the only day. The 15th is the only day we can do it. Can you help us out? I reached out to Al, and Al was gracious enough to come on today instead of next week.
So
but anyway,
I got bumped by Joe. Is that what happened? Is that what
you got bumped by Joe Drellick in the National Sports Collectors Convention? As a matter of fact, he said, if you don't let
by a good guy,
I know, you really did. All right, let's talk about this. You can kind of give an overview of what the card is that you're offering. I haven't said a word. Lou knows, Rico knows, but then I want to get into specifics about what was done to the card.
Sure. Well, it's I'm thrilled to announce, and the news just broke today, that in our summer auction we're going to have our first ever T206 Wagner, which I'm really, really excited about. And it is a fantastic card. It is a beautiful card. It's also going to be a controversial card. So you know, I'm excited about the whole thing. I think it's going to be really neat.
Well, the card, you know, you're saying it's going to be a controversial card. I am, and I know you are too. We've talked about this. Rico's talked about it. Lou, we've talked about it ad nauseum with everybody. We all have a real problem with cards that are trimmed, cards that are altered. That's another category. I'm putting those cards in another category because, and I'm going to use a Monet as an example. Okay.
Sure.
What was he? A second baseman for the Cubs?
Frank Monet. He played for
Let me get into art. Hey,
Monet.
I'll tell you how.
No, go ahead.
You buy a Monet, and I've seen it on Antiques Roadshow 1,000 times. People will buy a beautiful piece of art, and they say, okay, it's worth $50,000. Yeah. However, if you get it restored, it's going to be worth $100,000. Now, there's a big difference, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Al.
No.
Big difference between altering something and restoring something. Now, this Wagner card, it has not been altered, but it's been restored.
It was altered. It's
correct.
I mean, it's yes.
What was done? What was done to it?
Right. Yeah.
So,
tell us about it.
So I'll tell you the story of the card, and you can look at we've chronicled all of this at loveofthegameauctions.com. There's a whole section devoted to this card, its story, and the Wagner in general, and the legend of the Wagner, and all of this. So I'll try and be brief. But we've been able to trace this card all the way back to the mid-1970s when it walked into a card shop in New Jersey as part of a collection. And at that time, and everybody who studies Wagner's has seen a photo of this card in its past state. It was trimmed all around Wagner's head and bust. So all it was Wagner's head and shoulders, and then the bottom border of the card. So it was missing the background. It was missing the left and right edge as well as the top edge. The card shop owners bought it for $1 in 1975. They advertised it in SCD. We were actually able to find an old ad in a 76 issue of SCD where they were offering this card, which was ultimately purchased by Rob Lifson of Robert Edward Auctions. But at the time, there was no Rob was just a kid, and he kept this card in his collection for a while. He used to keep it in a binder with a complete T206 behind it, so that it looked like a full card. And at some point along the way, he sold that card to Richard Gelman, who is the son of Woody Gelman, the Topps art director.
Yep.
And then it stayed in Richard's collection for like 20 years, and then was ultimately sold at auction in the mid 90s, and then it disappeared. Okay, so there are images of this card in its original state out there on the internet, but nobody knew what happened to it for years. And ultimately what happened to it is in the late 90s, it was professionally restored. It was expertly restored. It was given its full background and borders and edges. A beautiful card that has been in the collection of Keith Olbermann for all of this time. And
now hold on, Al. Is Keith? I want to be sure that I read it correctly. So Keith obviously is the one that procured the card. Is Keith the person that had it restored?
No,
okay.
No. So Keith and Keith actually tells a story. He's actually written an essay about this card on our website. But ultimately, what happened was there was an article in. Do you remember VCBC magazine?
No.
It was Vintage and Classic Baseball Collector, I think was what it stood for. There was an article there in that publication. It was their most popular issue about card restoration. It was a very controversial article because the person who was interviewed for that article talked about open card restoration. In other words, doing restoration to cards that have been damaged, that are degrading, that sort of thing. And restoring them back to their original appearance, right? But being open about it, the way they're open about it in every other collectible that there is.
Right.
Antique automobiles, musical instruments, comic books, movie posters, they all accept restoration that's open, right?
Right.
We're not talking about like deceptively trimming or rebuilding corners and not telling you. We're talking about restoring a card. So Keith read that article and he reached out to the restorer, and that person did a card for him, and he was so impressed with the results that they agreed to do a Wagner.
Now the card that he did for was a 33 Gaudi, correct?
Yeah, a Lajoie, yes.
A Lajoie, that's right.
So they agreed to do the Wagner. It took a couple of years, I guess, before the work was completed. And when Keith got the card, the restoration was so good that, he wanted to know more about it. He wasn't sure what he had. And he had never seen the die-cut Wagner. He had never seen, that's what they called it, the Wagner in its altered state. He had never seen that card. So when he got this one, the restoration was so good, it was hard to believe that the card was authentic. And it was, I mean, obviously, as a collector as sophisticated as Keith Olbermann can look at the card and say, yeah, of course it's authentic, but what is it? What am I holding? Right. And then the restorer just dropped off the face of the earth, just disappeared. And so Keith was never able to get answers to those questions. So he kept this card in his collection for 25 years. And it was only just recently that we started looking at it and saying, hey, you know what? This is this die-cut Wagner card. And you could see, we actually posted on our website a Photoshop overlay where you can see the changes to the card. You can see where there was a little crease here and it's been fixed, and there was a little bit of paper loss here, and there's some in-painting around the head and that sort of stuff. So, once we started talking about it, we all agreed that the card needed to be professionally authenticated. And, I have a lot of experience with Andy Broom at CGC, being the kind of a guy who would look at a card like this and take all of the research into account when assigning his grade. Now, obviously, Andy is not going to look at it if he thinks a card is bad. He's not going to say it's a good card, but he looked at everything that we presented him, looked at the card, judged instantly that the card was authentic, and then agreed that it was this same die-cut Wagner. And so we're able to, trace this card's provenance all the way back to the 70s, which is pretty cool.
All right, hold on. Let's hold on. Let's take a break now because I want to continue with this discussion. We have a lot of questions.
Well, I'm going to forget my question for
Write it down. Write it down.
I'm going to write it down right now.
All right, we're going to take a break. Al Crisafulli is in the house. The Wagner is coming to auction. Well, we're going to get to see the Wagner at the National, correct?
At the National and at the Fanatics Fest.
Nice. Well, I'm not going to be at Fanatics Fest, but I will be at the National.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Hold on. We'll be right back.
All right.
Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
Let's go! Batter up!
Hi, everyone. This is Rico Petrocelli. JustCollect.com, a leader in the vintage sports card industry, is giving free appraisals on your vintage cards. They'll evaluate your collection for free and let you know the value of it at no cost and no obligation. If you're ready to sell, JustCollect.com will offer you industry-leading prices to buy your card collection. To begin your free baseball card appraisal, visit JustCollect.com or call them at 732-828-2261. That's JustCollect.com for your free vintage card appraisals and top buy prices for your cards. Check out JustCollect.com today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the Renown is a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
With record-breaking sales from everything from the white border T206 Honus Wagner for $3.12 million to some great items that support the Jackie Robinson Foundation, Golden Auctions has set the highest standards for the finest in sports cards, autographs, and game-used memorabilia. We're always accepting consignments of high-end premium sports treasures or entire collections. Please register for our next auction and bid now at goldenauctions.com. That's golden with an I. We at Golden Auctions are committed to providing unsurpassed customer service for the discriminating collector. That's exactly why we're the leader in the industry. Visit goldenauctions.com or call 856-767-8550. Remember, Golden Auctions. We don't just break records, we shatter them.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back. Louis, did you get my email?
I did not, but I will check it.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I sent you an image.
Yes, this morning, yes.
No, just 5 minutes ago.
No.
I sent you an
I don't
image.
check my phone during the show, Tom.
Oh, I emailed it to you. The reason being is if you can pull this off over the next 35, 40 minutes, I sent you an image of the very card that we're talking about. I don't know if you can pull off that miracle, but if you can, fine. If you can't, not a problem.
Okay. I got the question I had for Al was: isn't in any card, isn't the player's image on the card the most important thing?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, so if you got that image of Wagner.
Except that image of you, Rico. You remember that ugly card? That one card?
There are no ugly cards of Rico.
There's one.
My last card. I can.
And that was because the guy that took the picture was pissed off at him.
Yeah, so he got mad at me.
He purposely Topps purposely used that.
But seriously, no, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say something right now that may kick me off the show. And that is industry. No, not about Mickey Mantle's rookie card. To me, it doesn't really look like Mickey Mantle.
You're talking about the Topps.
Well, yeah. What's the Mickey Mantle rookie card?
Well, not the Bowman, the Topps.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's artwork.
I know, but I'm not saying it doesn't look at all like him.
What you're saying
Mantle had a softer face, even as a kid.
Saying, well, actually, he's making a good point, Al. Hear me out. I mean, the actual image of Wagner, the actual image was who took it? It was Conlon, right?
Horner,
right. The Horner image does that image appear anywhere on a card? The actual image?
Yes, it's on It's on the Ramley, the T204 Ramley. It's that's a photographic image. It's also, I believe, on his. Oh my God, I can see the card and I can't think of what it is. But that illustration also is adapted on a M116. It's on a number of different caramel cards. It's a pretty familiar.
Yeah, but the M116 is that's not an actual photograph, is it?
Right. No, they're all illustrations. But you can see the photograph on his T204 Ramley.
Okay, but Enrico, you're saying a photograph is better than an image, like okay,
yeah,
but I can see that.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I had a 52 Mantle as a kid, and I didn't know anything about the value and all I know is he was a great player, and I loved it. Right. I wish I had it, but
Louis, good job. Good job.
Oh yeah. See, that's a great pick.
I mean, so let's look.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The restoration work is expert. It's unbelievable what a job was done to this.
Is the face, is the actual cutout of his body?
Yeah.
Is it raised? Is it raised, Al? Off of the background?
It's not that it's raised, okay? So, but if you had the card ungraded in your hand and you ran your finger around where the image is,
you could feel it.
You would feel, what you're feeling is actually very light but meticulous in painting that was done, because some of that card, when it was die cut, the very edges of Wagner's face. I mean, imagine some little kid taking a pair of scissors in 1910 or 1920, they're not going to be completely precise. So there were a couple of areas where there was some paper loss around the edge that was treated with expert in painting. And so you can feel that a little bit when you run your finger around the edges of the bust and his head.
Louis, can you bring it up? So just I want not the image, but the writing, the labeling on top. It does say it does. Do I see the word restored?
Restored, yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's good.
So it's graded authentic, restored, and that was part of our conversation with CGC, where I didn't want the card to be graded authentic, altered, because the card had been it was altered. It was altered when it was trimmed. It was restored, and so. I wanted the restoration to be called out. I didn't want to treat this card as if, it was doctored, because that's not what happened to this card. There's obviously a whole litany of questions that this card is going to bring out, and so I wanted to be able to start.
I think, Al, you hit it on the head, Al. I think the important thing is being upfront and honest about it.
Yeah.
And being calling it restored or calling it trimmed or whatever.
It's really, Al, what argument is out there? I don't see an argument. As long as it says authentic restored, there's really no gray area there.
Yeah, but you don't know the worth, Al, don't you? I mean, you won't know the worth until somebody makes a bid.
There have been other restored Wagners that have been sold. There have been other altered Wagners that have been sold.
Right.
We don't know where this one is going to fall. What I can tell you is that if you take all of the different Wagners that we know of, and you just put them all up without any consideration to which ones have been trimmed and which ones have been, otherwise altered and which ones have been restored, this card is one of the 2 or 3 most beautiful Wagners in the hobby, and it's just expert work.
Are the other ones that are restored? Does it say restored?
I believe that there are 1 or 2 that say restored. There's another one. If you remember, there's one that's torn in half. It's half the
I've
Wagner.
seen that one. Right,
and that one is graded genuine. That's actually the second card that PSA.
I've seen that card. That card was sold within the last year. Resold.
Yeah. It's
all right, Lou. You can put that away. That's thank you so much, Lou. Great job with that image. Al, did Oberman's Lajoie, is that in a slab that says restored?
No, I doubt it. It's
really?
Keith has not historically been a big fan of grading, and
you think?
But
he's a big PSA, real big PSA fan.
But so I've never seen that Lajoie. I don't know if it still exists or not even. But the Wagner, I think, was part of what Keith what his original intention was to bring this issue to the forefront and bring it out into the hobby, because it's an important one especially when you start talking about this level of card, which is let's face it, the entire hobby, the entire collecting hobby of cards is driven by the Wagner. It's the most important card.
No doubt.
And so when you get to that level, I guess the thing that you need to ask yourself is whether or not, are you the kind of collector who wants a card like that to wear its age and its damage and all of those things, and as almost a badge of honor? Or are you one of these collectors that feels like these cards can be restored with disclosure to their original?
I go with the latter there. I mean, I agree with you.
My feeling is this. I'll finish this point. My feeling is this: if you have millions of dollars to spend on a T206 Wagner, right? Do you want one that looks like it went through the wash, or do you want one that looks beautiful when the time comes for you to show it to people and show them this is the blue chip, this is the most important card in the hobby? Do you want to show them one that's all creased up, or do you want to show them one that looks fantastic?
Again, both. I'll take both.
There are people.
But let's go back. Let's go back to that piece of art, that Da Vinci, that Monet. Absolutely. I mean, do you want a Monet with a hole in it that fell 100 years ago and something went through it, Or do you want that? I'd rather have the restored piece.
No, I'd rather have the whole.
The example that I keep going back to is a Ferrari 250 GTO, which is this unbelievably high-end, highly collectible automobile, right? And if you get one that's rolled off the assembly line, rolled out of the factory, and into your showroom, that's the top of the line. That's the holy grail. But if you have one that's been in an accident and is repaired and restored with body work and replacement parts that are original to a Ferrari 250 GTO, and it's been, the chassis had to be repaired, but you've got its original guts and it's still beautiful. That is still a highly collectible, unbelievably valuable car, and there's nobody in the car hobby that looks at that and says, "No, I don't want that."
Well, who in the hobby will accept this? Let's say overall. I mean,
that's a good question.
I mean, there's no association. Who would it be?
Yeah. My feeling is that purchasing any card is completely the discretion of the buyer and what they want to have, right? So I think in the case of this, the people who are buying Wagners, who are at that level, they also invest in other collectibles and in other areas where restoration is totally accepted if it's disclosed, and so I don't think there's going to be resistance at that level.
If somebody big, that's why I always thought that you should have an association, but that says it's okay to do this.
No, Rico, here's what he's saying.
Not okay. Okay.
He's saying, Al, correct me if I'm wrong.
I understand.
Al's saying at that high level, level of that buyer, those are the people that are not going to question it. The people that are going to question it are the 80% or 70% of whatever it is that can't afford to buy that.
I think regardless of what the value of the piece is, right? I think the conversation is a conversation that needs to be had, because the fact that we're not talking about a 1980 Topps Jim Palmer is just inconsequential. Like somebody could do this to a 1980 Topps Jim Palmer also, and so the question becomes, if that is disclosed, and if you look at our website, we're showing you the original card, what it used to look like. We're showing you what it looks like now. We're actually showing you infrared, the card under infrared light, so you can see where the inpainting is. We are being completely upfront with the restoration. It's all described in the auction description. Keith has written an essay where he describes what was done to the car. That's part of this.
Well, here's my question about this and what it's going to do to the market going forward. You talk about this card that was die cut. The player was cut out of it. I understand that. A card that's torn in half, restore it, no problem. But at a point in the market where they become valuable, and someone who's holding a Honus Wagner 5 or 6 or 6.5 and wants to restore it because there's more money involved in that, we're taking reasonably good cards out of the market a little bit.
So the question is, are we taking it out of the market? First of all, the question is that being done now?
No.
Is that being is our high end cards being altered now without disclosure? Because
without disclosure,
because what we have here is I have a photo of the 1892 New York Giants in my collection. I collect, you can see behind me, I collect 19th century large format pieces. So I have this photo that I purchased in an auction. It's an albumin photo that had been mounted in a wooden frame, and it was very acidic. So the photo itself was damaged and discolored. It had been separated from its mount, so it had become destabilized. There were a few holes in it that were also, threatening to tear the piece. I took that photo, purchased it, and then I sent it to a professional conservator who is able to clean some of the acid, the discoloration off the photo, stabilize it with Japanese rice paper on the back, fix those holes and inpaint them, and then remount it. And now it's in an acid-free environment behind museum glass in a frame. If I hadn't done those things to that card or to that photo, it would have likely continued to degrade and continued to disintegrate. So there's a certain amount of stabilization that's being done by that level of restoration. And I think that's what's happening here with this card as well, where you have essentially the bust and the head of Wagner, which is not in any kind of a holder. And now you've got an actual card where it's all been stabilized and restored and brought back to its original form. So personally, I think there's a difference between that kind of work and, taking a VGX card and turning it into an X-Mint card by rebuilding the corners. And I think, Lou, I get what you're saying, that like, does this start a slippery slope? And do we get into this thing where every card is restored? I think that you can look at comics, you can look at musical instruments, important manuscripts, historical documents, maps, fine art. You can look at all of these other collectible areas and see how open restoration has impacted the market. Yeah, there is some, there are some pieces that get restored that maybe they would have been fine the way they were. But by and large, that original piece, the value is kind of baked into, the card that's been, or the book or the manuscript or whatever it is that hasn't been restored is more valuable than the one that has. Those hobbies all look at an unrestored original piece and say, yeah, this is something that we're going to.
Rico,
I'm not.
Are you kidding me? Rico, are you kidding us?
He's taking a phone call. DoorDash.
So, in other words, Lou, I think that
you're killing me, Rico.
All of those hobbies value an unrestored piece greater than they value a restored.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I would think that our hobby would do the same. I also think that the time and the expense involved with doing this level of restoration and doing it as skillfully as this one is probably not worth doing to a 1980 Topps Jim Palmer.
Right.
It's probably only worth doing to the top of the line card.
Yes.
Right?
Al Crisafulli's in the house. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We got a couple of other things to talk about. And then I want to get your opinion on a question that we discussed last week with a couple of people regarding the Wagner and regarding the mantle. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on the tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. Highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
What are you laughing at?
No, my son. That picture we did an interview with a guy. By the way, Michael's my old. I have 4 sons, twins in the middle. He's 6'7", So
he was a hell of a basketball player.
Yeah, very good college basketball player. Good pitcher. He was a sinker baller, but he got into this business. I transferred it over to him, and he's done a great job. So
yeah, Michael has done a great job.
Yeah,
well, he does something you never did. He does marketing. He does marketing.
Well, what do you mean I never did?
You never did anything. You used to sit back and collect a check.
I got something. I'm looking at during the break. I'm looking at your website. There's a old Judge cigarettes, Jim O'Rourke, right, and a 2, right? It went for $22,200. Let me ask you, if that was screwed up, would you redo it? No. Okay.
No. Yeah.
So you just leave it.
Yeah. I think, first of all, I think that this is not every card is a candidate for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, what this card used to be was not, a card with a little corner wear and some, mild creasing. And also an N172 O'Rourke, as great a card as it is not the most important card in the hobby. And a T206 Wagner absolutely is the most important card in the hobby. So I think, for me, Rico, I wouldn't do that. And
good point.
You're not going to see Love of the Game getting into the business of having cards restored. That's just not what we do.
It's not financially viable. You're not going to make that much more money.
It's not financially viable, but that's also not that's not my decision to make as an auction house, right? So what my decision as an auction house to make is to, ethically sell this thing and to try and position it with all of the information so that buyers can make a decision that they're comfortable making. And so, what you're not going to see me do is, try and say, oh, look, it's a 6,
That's why the business needs an association. I'll tell you why, because in its charter, you would say they're not allowed to restore, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And so now you have, here it is, gang, somebody gets caught restoring, whatever penalty.
There's been a lot of discussion about a hobby association over the years. I sat in a meeting in the 90s. I sat in a meeting in the corporate offices of a giant company that doesn't exist anymore, with a bunch of other collectors, with the goal of putting together a hobby association. And ultimately, what it always comes down to is who gets to be in charge of that and what is their agenda, and who gets to be a part of that association.
The owners, you guys are the board.
But
you know what I'm saying.
But are we all ethical enough to deserve to be in that role?
Well, that's a good question. I think I know you are anyway.
There was one I can tell you. I was sitting in that room where we were going to be talking about this association to discuss the ethics of the hobby, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in there, and the pizza guy shows up. Pizza guy shows up with a couple of pizzas, and then there's a knock on the door, and the door opens, and 2 people walk into the room who I knew, and as soon as they walked in, I was like, "Oh, well, that takes care of this."
That's good. This
these
is
2
going
guys
down
have
the
no
chute.
business being in this room, and
all right.
so I was like, "Oh,
all right, listen, we're chatting with Al Crisafulli. We've been touting it for a couple of months now. Everybody kind of knows that we're real excited, and Al's been part of it. Ellen and I are going to be launching our final book at the 2027 National. We're real excited about it. It's called Legendary Finds and Sports Collecting Treasures. And we're excited, and Al's been a big part of it. All of the auction houses, private collectors, everybody's kind of stepped up to the plate. It's going to be a cool book. There's some great backstories to some of the greatest finds, that exist. But I wanted to take a minute to talk about our series of award-winning sports collectibles books, Lewis. Over the years, Ellen and I, along with longtime hobby legend Joe Orlando, John Mallory, our own Lou Blasi, who else? and some other people. We've been fortunate
Frank
enough.
Monet, Jack Monet.
Yeah, exactly. We've been fortunate enough to win 12 national awards with our book series, including the prestigious Ben Franklin Award, which is the highest honor you can get in the independent publishing world. So we're especially proud of these books because they're filled with amazing stories and great sports cards and information, memorabilia information. And if you'd like to add one to, or even the entire collection to your library, you can get them at tomzappelinmedia.com, tomzappelinmedia.com. And I think you're going to love them. As I said, several of the books, periodically we have them on sale. I think a couple of them are on sale right now. I know the Diamondbacks collection is on sale. The only book that is out of print, quite frankly, is our first book, the T206 collection, The Players and Their Stories. And the reason being, we sold the rights to that book probably about 8 years ago. There is another second printing of that book by Derek Hogue. It's a great book. And you can go to Derek's site to purchase that book. But if you want some good books, great Christmas gifts, go to tomzappelinmedia.com and you can pick them up and hopefully add them to your collection. All right, listen, a couple of things I want to chat about. First of all, it's Rico, let's do our segment now. It's time for our segment On Deck with Rico, brought to us each week by our good friend Brian Dwyer and the great staff at REA Auctions. Don't forget to get your bid in by going to collectrea.com. That's Robert Edward Auctions for extraordinary results and extraordinary service. All right, Rico, this question was submitted by a guy. His name is Paul Malone. It says, Rico, you managed for years at the AAA level. What changes would you make as a manager with this current Red Sox team?
Well, it's not so much changes as an addition. Certainly, I would like to get another power type hitter, which really helps. A lot of people don't realize that when that's a particular hitter, your big hitter, let's say in my day, Carl Yastrzemski or Fisk or, whomever, it helps your lineup. When he's out, they pitch a little differently. They're not, their pitches a little more aggressive. They don't want to get to that guy, who's gonna win a game for you. They don't want him to win it. So anyway, there's a lot of good things happening right now. They're hitting well, but you could always use more pitching. But I think they're going to try to go after a hitter, a power type hitter, and I'm not sure if they'll spend the money, but that's one thing. I mean, you could be here an hour.
It's sad though, Rick. They had one, and they let him go for nothing. His name was Kyle Schwarber, and they let him go.
Well, that's one. Yeah, that's not just one, but Devers. A lot of people don't like Devers, but
what, Louis?
He would have owned this town, Kyle Schwarber.
Of course. I mean, he owned it for a year. He owned it.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Let me ask you this, Rico. If we're going to add a bat, and
I'll jump in here, brother.
Let's put the money aside here for the moment and assume they're willing to spend, which is a big assumption. Where are you going to get him? Are you going to get him at third base? Are you going to get him in the middle infield? Are you going to bring in another outfielder? Is Contreras okay at first?
You got to trade. You got to trade some of the outfielders.
Yeah.
You're not a Durant fan at all.
I am. I like him. I like Durant.
I thought he was
I'm not saying I wouldn't trade him. We're not saying in the right deal. It all depends, Lou, who's available.
Yeah.
It all depends on who's available, and they need like I said, another right-handed bat. You got the kid in center field. He's going to be a hell of a player. He's good right now. Cedeno, Rafaela. He's what is he? 23 years old. By the time these guys get to 25, 26 years old, they're so much stronger, so much wiser, and even with Anthony coming back, Lou, they need another bat. They have the makings of a good pitching staff if everybody's healthy. I've never seen so many left-handed starting pitchers, even bullpen, but especially in my life, I mean, it's incredible. The Red Sox,
but it's a good pitching staff.
It is a good pitching staff.
It is. It is. Right. And
well,
so anyway,
we appreciate the input. And by the way, Crisafulli, you're a Yankees guy, right?
I'm keeping my mouth shut
because they stink.
No.
The Yankees stink. I mean, they're awful.
You know,
and yet you're looking up at them in the stands.
That's correct. Well, no, actually, if you hold the newspaper upside down,
we have this thing here in the office that Carrie, one of our inventory person, it's called the Race to 90, and he's a Twins fan. Andrew is a Mets fan. And Evelyn and I are Yankees fans, and it could be whoever gets to 90 first wins or loses. But it's either you win because your team lost 90 games and you got there quicker than anybody else, but you lose as a fan. And so we're watching this standings board, and I'm watching the Yankees competing with the Mets and the Twins, and I'm thinking this game is not fun.
Oh God!
Hey, speaking of Twins. Lou, I'd take Buxton right now. I don't know what they might, they certainly would want a pitcher, but he's a legit.
What about Killebrew? Is Killebrew available?
Yeah, Killebrew and what's his name?
Whatever his name.
Listen, I got a question for Rico. Rico, I know you're an infielder, but I think that the question is still one that's been grating on me. It's not just the Yankees. I see this happening across the league with bullpens, giant 14-man bullpens, and these guys are pitching 60, 70 games a year. 4 or 5 guys coming out of the pen pitching 60 70 games.
Some
Aaron Boone cycles through his bullpen, and they pitch one inning, whether they pitched well or not. They could be lights out, strike out the side, and they're done after one inning. And then they're back in the bullpen, warming up 2 days later to come back into the game and pitch another inning. What does that do to a player's arm?
Well, eventually all of them, could damage their arms and shoulders and elbows. But, the game now, it's bullpens. That's why your starting pitchers certainly important. You want them to go at least 7 innings. But your bullpen that's going to be probably the most important part of the game.
I don't get it. They're pulling pitchers after 80 pitches, and starting pitchers, whether it's the 3rd inning or the 6th inning or the 8th inning or what, and then
in the bullpen. But you got to pitch to 3 hitters. They have to
right.
I know everybody hates analytics, but the answer to the question about 80 pitchers or 85 pitchers or 95 pitchers is 3rd time through the order. And go look at the stats.
Yeah,
look at the stats of every pitcher. It's a real thing. And
that's true.
But is that part of baseball?
That's what the opener is all about, by the way.
Yeah, I get it. It's. I mean, it makes scientific sense. I would think that somebody like Nolan Ryan would disagree with it.
It's changed, Al. It's changed.
It's a different game. I understand.
I mean, you can't compare it, to when we were kids.
When you were a kid,
might have one guy. Your bullpen might have one guy who pitched 70 games.
Well, back in this
a workhorse.
In this all-time great discussion, we were talking about Juan Marichal. Tom did a thing on Tom Marichal in one of the books. I think it was Rico's All-Star or Hall of Fame players that he played with. Juan Marichal pitched a 16-inning game. Can you imagine a guy going 16 innings in the majors today?
No. Tion went 15 innings. Tion went 15 innings in Anaheim.
I saw somewhere.
Never happened.
Forget it. It would never
Bob
happen.
Gibson.
That's 3 games for
record in 1968. And if you look at his game log in 1968, is like he pitched 9 innings, 8 innings, 9 innings, 9 innings, 8 innings, 10 innings, 8 innings. Like every outing was 8 innings.
Did Bob Gibson? Did he ever have arm problems?
I don't know the answer.
That I know of.
Right?
There weren't as many arm problems, but the thing is, in my day, if you had a bad shoulder or Tommy John, you were through.
Yeah.
Right. Your career was over.
But this is
guys
the
like
all-time
it
great
makes me wonder about guys like Fidrich and what could have happened to Fidrich with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is the all-time great discussion in a nutshell, because the biggest myth in baseball is that it's been the same game for 150 years, and it hasn't.
No, it hasn't. We know that.
You have guys with the batting statistics. They're batting against starting pitchers who are throwing their 130, 140 pitchers. That's a whole different game. I don't care what area you played. You're throwing your 140th pitch. You're not as good as you are on your 80th pitch.
Lou, that's why you can't compare, eras. How are you going to do it? Tom, remember, Tom, you used to say, well, the so-and-so could hit in this era.
Well, I always said that in my opinion, there are certain pitches that have since departed us that could, in fact, pitch in today's game. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to pitch a 9-inning game, but I'm saying they could pitch today. And a lot of it has to do, again, people laugh at me, but if you really, and now I'd like your opinion on this. If you really evaluate and analyze slow motion images or vintage movies of Walter Johnson pitching, hear me out. I think that Walter Johnson, I'm not going to say he's going to pitch 9 innings, but I say he could pitch, and I'll tell you why. Because based on all the science, he threw around 92, 93, 94, but he had a 3/4 sidearm, and he had a knack for releasing the ball just as it came in front of his uniform. And his ball was next to impossible to pick up. He couldn't pitch, Al. You don't think he could pitch today?
Pitching.
So my opinion is that if you took a player, it's funny because if you remember, we had a discussion like this at the National with Joe Orlando, and he positioned this in a much, much different way than I had ever heard it before. My feeling is that if you take any player out of the 1910s, and I am a big fan of dead ball era baseball, but if you take any player out of there and drop them into today, it would be like taking a high school kid and sticking him on a major league ball field. Like there's just no comparison between the athleticism and all. Yeah. But if you take that human being out of 1910 and you drop him into today and give him access to all of the medicine and all of the nutrition and all of the exercising, and
he could play.
I mean, remember, even when I was a kid, when Brian Downing started working out and getting big and bulky, back then the conventional wisdom was lifting weights hurt your flexibility, and if you were a baseball player, you shouldn't lift weights.
Couldn't do it.
Everyone went against Fred Lynn when he was doing the Nautilus. Everyone was thought it was radical.
Yeah, and so I think that was conventional wisdom, and it was as recently as the 1970s.
Here's what I call it, Al. I call it the cornfield argument. Are we talking Babe Ruth walking out of the cornfield and playing today? Because have you guys ever been in a batting cage and seen that first pitch? That's what Babe Ruth would look like. He'd be stunned.
It's
with
crazy.
His 40-ounce bat, forget it.
Yeah.
Listen.
Babe Ruth, born in 2000, however, could play in the game. Who knows how it would turn out?
All right, listen, we only have a couple of minutes left. Lou, how about our friends at Finkelmeyer Insurance?
Well, Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency has been insuring collectibles since the early 80s. The late Tom Finkelmeyer wrote the original sports memorabilia insurance policy when no one else in the industry was insuring sports collectibles. A lifelong collector of sports cards, Tom Sr. instilled the love of collecting in Tom Jr., who is the current president of Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency. Tom Finkelmeyer Jr., with 3 decades of insurance experience, has paired that expertise with 50 years of collecting, and with a litany of professional designations, including counseling and risk management. Tom covers every aspect of your collectibles insurance needs. Unlike some companies that just sell collectibles insurance directly to the consumer online, Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency is the only independent retail agent who specializes in sports memorabilia and collectibles nationwide. Representing all major companies that sell collectibles insurance, there's no agent that insures more collectors, dealers, appraisers, auctioneers, or events in the collectibles hobby than Finkelmeyer Insurance. Our good friend and hobby legend, John Tovey of JT Sports, has been using Finkelmeyer Insurance for over 20 years. If you want to get involved, and you do, go for more information to thefaa.com. That's Finkelmeyer Insurance, where collecting is our passion.
All right, before we leave here, I want your opinion, the 3 of you. We asked this question last week, so actually I'm not going to ask Lou. Al, you first. What do you choose? You have to choose one. Marshall Fogel's PSA 10, 1952 Mickey Mantle, or Kenny Kendrick's PSA 8, McNall, Gretzky, Honus Wagner.
Wagner. Can I nitpick?
Sure.
Can I nitpick about something? I hate
Sure.
to correct you. But I feel like I have this platform, and I should use it.
Quite right.
His name is Honus.
Honus Wagner, not Honus Wagner. You're 100% right.
Yes.
We all try to match it with the word bonus.
Right.
It's
His
Honus
name was
Wagner.
Johannes
Right.
Peter Wagner, which is shortened to Hans and John and not Hone and Bone. And so he's Honus Wagner.
Now, I tell you what.
Honus.
All right, Rico, what do you say?
What's the Lap LaJoy thing? LaJoy.
LaJoy, right.
LaJoy.
LaJoy.
Right.
To me,
Rico.
LaJoy.
PSA 10, Marshall Fogel's highest rated in the world.
Mantle, period.
You're going to go with the Mantle. Louis?
He's a Mantle guy. Rico is a Mantle guy. The Mantle is an iconic piece of American history. From an art standpoint, from a card history, it's even bigger than the card. So I'm going to Mickey Mantle.
Wow.
I'm
going for Mr. Wagner. No doubt, hands down.
I think that Wagner, Kendrick's Wagner, is the top card in the hobby. Like if you like, it's the most valuable card, and whenever it sells, it will
never sell.
But when that card changes, it's going to change hands eventually. I mean,
let me tell you something. Let me tell you about my conversation. This is public. I mean, when back in March, we were talking on the phone, and we talked about, because I said, Kenny, he was offered $40 million for that card. Turned it down. So he says, let me tell you about if it's ever going to go anywhere. His son, he's got one son. And he had a family meeting, and he said to his son, who's now grown up, he said, "You have to promise me that you will never sell this card." And his son said, "Dad," Ken Kendrick, he said, "Dad, I promise you we will never sell this." And they don't need the money, obviously, but he said, "I promise you we will never." That card is going to stay for, I don't know how many generations in that family. It really is. But yeah, before we go, I have a really cool little project that I'd love to work with you on. And we'll talk about it someday off the air, but it has to do with that Honus Wagner. It has to do.
It's a hard.
It has to do. It has to do with Kendrick's card. There's a great backstory to it that we've been working on, Ellen and I, for 6 months, and there's a few dots we can't connect, but there's some really cool information that we have with the help of Ken on that shot.
Pal.
Some really cool stuff that dates back quite far. With that being said,
don't tell anybody. You told the whole story already.
No. I'm telling you near the story. But listen, we're going to see you at the National with Honus Wagner's card.
I don't like Honus. I like
Wagner will
Honus.
be at the National at the CGC booth, as well as at the Fanatics Festival at the CGC booth.
Is Oberman going to be there?
He'll be at Fanatics Festival.
He will.
I don't think he'll be there for the whole time, but he'll be there for some of it. And
all right, Al, when people, when does this auction start?
Auction's just a couple weeks away, and it closes on August 8th. So bid strong.
Rico, can you lend me a few bucks?
I will. All I have. That's all I have.
Start a GoFundMe.
There we go. All right. Love of the Game Auctions. It's loveofthegameauctions.com, right?
.com, or you could just do lotgauctions.com, and either one will get you there.
All right, brother. We love having you. You have been one of the bright lights on this show of many dark lights.
Thanks a lot, Lou. With no respect. What is this?
He's absolutely right.
Always good to see you guys. Rico, you're going to be at the National?
No, I can't. Got a bad back.
Hold on, Al. You know why he can't?
No.
Yeah. He looks at, okay, here's what the Red Sox are going to pay me for appearances, and here's what Tom is going to pay me for appearances.
No, it's not
You're
that.
lying.
I can't. I got a bad back. I can't sit. No, I wish I could be there.
I get it.
It's hard.
Oh, Rico, by the way, you did a great job at the autograph section the other night at Fenway.
Don't start on that.
Just real quickly before we leave, Louis and
we're both
Al.
pissed off that you didn't tell us you were going to be there. By the way.
Well, no, what happened? Rico wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't there?
I was stuck in the traffic.
He got stuck in the traffic jam on 495.
There's a shootout, Al, and up here.
He missed the autograph session.
I missed the autograph
that they featured him at. He missed it because he was stuck in a traffic jam.
Kill me, boy. That was a
Red
pain.
Sox honor him, and does he tell Tom and me?
No. Paul Borges texted me. He says, "You're not going to believe this. I'm at the game, and there's Rico. It's Rico Petrocelli night." I says, "He didn't say a word
It was
to us."
Italian night for them.
He didn't say a word to us.
Autograph.
All right, guys. It's been a pleasure, Al. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Always great
Rico,
to be with you guys.
Rico, we love you. Lou, sorry we ran over, but what the hell?
Yeah,
Everybody loves this show.
No, I'll have fun.
Edited.
All right. With that being said, to our viewers and
take
listeners,
care, huh?
Take care, guys.
Next week we have a good show. Next week we get the guys from the National coming on to talk about the National.
Next week we got a good show. This one wasn't good.
Yeah, this one sucked, but next week is good. Yeah, man.
All right. With that being
All
said,
right,
happy collecting.
Happy Christmas, he was going to say. Hey.